It's hard to imagine that the quiet boy from a small town in northern France would one day reign over the world of high fashion and luxury. Yet here we are. Bernard Arnault, a name now synonymous with Louis Vuitton, Dior, Moet and Chandon, and dozens more iconic brands, has climbed to the very top, even jousting with the likes of Elon Musk for the title of richest person on the planet. How did he get there? How did a reserved, studious child become the king of luxury? Bernard Arnault was born in 1949 in the industrial town of Roubaix, France. He grew up in a comfortable, middle-class household, far from poverty, but also far from the gilded world of Parisian couture. His father owned a small construction company, and his mother, a pianist, instilled in young Bernard an early love for music and art. She was fascinated with Dior, a hint of things to come. As a child, Bernard was intelligent and exceptionally competitive. He always wanted to win. Classmates remember him as the top student in every subject, the kid who aced the toughest exams and refused to settle for second best. In fact, he even took up classical piano lessons and became quite good. But legend has it that when Bernard realized he wouldn't become the very best pianist, he simply gave it up. That was young Arnault in a nutshell. If he couldn't be number one, he wasn't interested. Despite being quiet and reserved by nature, Arnault harbored big dreams. "What I love is to win. What I love is being number one," he later admitted. This mindset drove him to excel. At 18, he left Roubaix for Paris to attend the prestigious École Polytechnique, France's top engineering school. He was the first in his family to attend university, and of course, he graduated with honors. Those who knew him noticed a certain steely focus behind his shy demeanor, a trait that would become his hallmark. In interviews years later, Arnault acknowledged his introverted style, saying he has a certain reserve and doesn't immediately warm up to people. It's just his way. A quiet kid indeed, but one with a fire burning inside. Armed with an elite education in engineering, Bernard returned home in the early 1970s to join his father's construction firm, Ferret-Savenel. It didn't take long for the young man to make his mark. He was only in his mid-20s, but Bernard convinced his father to change course, to ditch the labor-intensive construction projects and pivot into real estate development. It was a bold move for a family business, yet it paid off. By the late 1970s, Arnault had become president of the company and had grown it substantially. Still, this quiet entrepreneur hungered for something more glamorous and global than paving roads or building houses. By 1981, politics and ambition pushed Arnault to make a dramatic leap. France's new socialist government was hostile to private wealth, so Arnault packed his bags and moved to the United States. In America, he dabbled in property development and dreamed of bigger ventures. One fateful day, as the story goes, Bernard was shopping at Bloomingdale's in New York, browsing among the luxury boutiques, when something clicked. He noticed that the Christian Dior section drew admiration from shoppers, even in the US, thousands of miles from France. He later mused that, in America, the president of Dior is better known than the president of France. At that moment, Arnault had an epiphany. Brands like Dior held untapped global power. Luxury wasn't just for a few Parisian elites, it could captivate the world. This realization lit a spark. Arnault decided it was time to go home and make his mark on the French luxury industry. Returning to France in 1984, Bernard Arnault found the perfect opportunity waiting. A famous French textile conglomerate called Boussac Saint-Frère had gone bankrupt. Boussac was a sprawling mess. It owned everything from factories to a failing department store. But it had one crown jewel, the Christian Dior fashion house. Arnault sensed this was his chance to grab a legendary brand for pennies on the dollar. With the help of investors and using much of his family's money, the 35-year-old Arnault boldly bid for Boussac and won. He reportedly paid just a symbolic single franc, along with hefty debts, effectively taking control nearly for free, on the condition he'd revive the business. Bernard's own father was wary. "Are there serious risks?" the elder Arnault asked him, concerned about taking on a bankrupt company. Bernard's reply was, yes, of course it was risky, but father and son agreed on a principle. You don't do good business without taking risks. With his family's blessing, Bernard went for it. What followed earned the quiet young businessman a rather fearsome reputation. Arnault aggressively restructured Boussac. He closed factories, laid off about 9,000 workers in 2 years, and sold off almost all of its businesses except Dior. These ruthless tactics worked. The slimmed-down company returned to profitability, and Arnault saved the storied Dior brand. But his cold efficiency in cutting jobs did not go unnoticed. The French press dubbed him the Terminator, likening his business style to a relentless machine. It wasn't pretty, but Arnault had accomplished exactly what he set out to do. Dior was his, and it would become the cornerstone of a luxury empire. Clutching Dior, Arnault now set his sights on bigger prey. Just a few years earlier, in 1987, two of France's top luxury companies, Louis Vuitton, famed for its leather handbags, and Moet Hennessy, the champagne and cognac maker, had merged to form LVMH, Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy. Initially, Arnault joined this venture as a relatively small partner, invited to invest by the founding families. But Bernard Arnault was not one to remain a junior partner for long. By 1988, sensing internal strife between the Vuitton and Moet Hennessy camps, he made his move. Arnault poured in about $1.6 billion to quietly buy up LVMH shares through a holding company. Then, in January 1989, in a coup worthy of a thriller, he amassed a controlling stake and ousted his one-time ally, Louis Vuitton's president, Henri Racamier, from the board. The audacity! At just 40 years old, Bernard Arnault seized full control of LVMH, surprising the French business establishment. On January 13, 1989, this quiet kid from Roubaix was unanimously elected chairman of the company he had effectively just hijacked. It was official. Arnault now helms the world's leading luxury group. His childhood dream of being the best was coming true, one bold takeover at a time. With LVMH under his command, Arnault embarked on a shopping spree unlike any other. He had a simple strategy: acquire the most famous luxury brands on earth and make them even bigger. In 1988, he snapped up Celine, a chic French fashion house. He funded the launch of a new high fashion line by Christian Lacroix and brought Givenchy perfume and couture into the fold. Over the next few years and decades, LVMH, guided by Arnault, scooped up jewelry makers like Bulgari, watchmakers like Tag Heuer, champagne brands like Veuve Clicquot, and the Sephora cosmetics chain, you name it. If it oozed luxury, Arnault wanted it. By the 1990s, LVMH owned an array of legendary maisons, houses in fashion, cosmetics, wines and spirits, and more. Under Arnault's relentless drive, a luxury empire was taking shape, one that spanned haute couture gowns, fine champagnes, leather handbags, and even five-star hotels. Bernard Arnault's style was not brash or loud. He moved with the calculated stealth of a predator. A rival once called him a wolf in cashmere, a fitting nickname for a man who was always impeccably dressed, soft-spoken, yet utterly ruthless when hunting a corporate acquisition. In the late 1990s, Arnault set his eyes on the Italian fashion house Gucci and began quietly buying up its shares. But this time, he met a formidable opponent, fellow French billionaire François Pinault, owner of a competing luxury group. In a high-stakes battle, Pinault outmaneuvered Arnault and snatched Gucci away. Even the wolf in cashmere doesn't win every fight. A decade later, Arnault attempted a stealth takeover of Hermès, the famed maker of Birkin bags and silk scarves. The Hermès family was outraged when they discovered Arnault had secretly amassed shares. One family member publicly branded him le loup en cachemire, the wolf in cashmere. Ultimately, Arnault failed to seize Hermès and had to back off under pressure. These rare defeats showed a human side to Arnault's saga. Even the king of luxury had battles he couldn't win. But importantly, he never lost his appetite for growth. What truly set Arnault apart was his foresight. He understood that luxury could go global, far beyond France. He was among the first to realize the potential of markets like China. Believe it or not, back in 1992, Arnault opened a Louis Vuitton store in Beijing, long before most Western brands dared to bet big on Chinese consumers. That move was a harbinger of the future. Today, Asia is a massive part of LVMH's success. Arnault also nurtured the brands he bought, making sure they balanced heritage and modernity. As he famously said, "In the luxury business, you have to build on heritage." He respected each maison's history and craft, but he also injected fresh creativity and savvy marketing to supercharge their appeal. An associate, Alain Mink, once remarked that Arnault's special talent is taking a brand that exists and giving it an incredible boost. Under Arnault's leadership, venerable brands like Dior and Louis Vuitton grew tenfold in sales, and new acquisitions like Tiffany & Company, added in 2021, were propelled to new heights. The numbers tell the story. As of 2023, LVMH was valued at around $500 billion and had over 75 prestigious brands under its roof. It is the largest luxury goods company on the planet, and Arnault, its architect, at one point amassed a personal fortune of over $200 billion doing it. From a quiet kid in Roubaix to one of the richest individuals ever. What a journey! Now in his mid-70s, Bernard Arnault stands as the unrivaled king of luxury. He's not a celebrity CEO in the mold of flashy tech moguls. Rather, he's a discreet, almost enigmatic figure. Arnault rarely gives interviews and shuns the limelight, preferring to let his brand shine instead of himself. The world's richest person doesn't tweet, doesn't court controversy on social media. That's just not his style. In fact, he once explained, "All that interests me is promoting my brands, never myself." This low-profile approach, combined with his extraordinary success, makes him something of a legend. He's been awarded France's highest honors and is respected, and sometimes feared, in business circles worldwide. Yet, Arnault does enjoy the fruits of his labor in his own refined way. He's a patron of the arts, an avid art collector who built the spectacular Louis Vuitton Foundation Museum in Paris, designed by Frank Gehry, to share contemporary art with the public. He rubs shoulders with artists, fashion designers, and heads of state. He even plays tennis regularly with Roger Federer and was friends with the late President Jacques Chirac. Not bad for that shy kid from Roubaix. And at an age when many would retire, Arnault is still in the office, meticulously planning the next moves. His current preoccupation is succession. Which of his 5 children will inherit the throne at LVMH? He has groomed each of them carefully, placing 4 of the 5 in senior roles, turning family dinners into strategy sessions. Whomever he chooses, there's no doubt he expects them to carry on his obsessive pursuit of excellence. Bernard Arnault's story is more than just the tale of one man's wealth. It's a story of vision, seeing value where others did not. It's about taking risks, wagering everything on a struggling fashion house because you believe in a brand's potential. It's about discipline and drive, the kind that made Arnault top of his class as a boy, and later, the uncompromising leader who demands the best or nothing. And importantly, it shows that you don't need to be loud to make a big noise in the world. Arnault was the quiet kid who listened, learned, and then acted decisively. In a business known for glitz and glamour, he remained calm and calculated, a steady hand guiding an empire of sparkle. From a provincial upbringing to presiding over a global luxury conglomerate, Bernard Arnault's rise has been nothing short of extraordinary. There were challenges and controversies, sure, critics who called him greedy, rivals who tried to beat him at his own game, but Arnault persisted with an almost single-minded focus. "Money is just a consequence," he once told his team. "Don't worry too much about profitability. If you do your job well, the profitability will come." These words reveal the philosophy that built LVMH. Focus on quality, on doing the job well, and success will follow as surely as day follows night. So the next time you pass by a glittering Louis Vuitton storefront, or see someone uncork a bottle of Moet at a celebration, remember that behind those symbols of luxury is a man who started quietly, dreaming big in a small town, and dared to pursue that dream with all he had. Bernard Arnault became the king of luxury not by birthright or loud bravado, but through strategic genius, relentless pursuit of excellence, and the courage to take risks. It's an inspiring reminder that sometimes the quietest kid in the room is destined to achieve the most extraordinary success. And that is how a quiet kid became the king of luxury. If you loved Bernard Arnault's story, subscribe to our channel for more inspiring wealth stories like these. You're only one decision from making it big.